Hello, this is Preacher Man Piper here, Doc Hatfield, coming to you again with another story about my life. I was always one that uh, everyone kind of thought I was a little bit unusual. When I was in school, most of the people there thought I wasn't normal because I didn't join in with everybody like everybody else did. I didn't participate in things. I didn't join in with kids on a playground and much. And then whenever I got into junior high, I was asked by the football coach if I'd like to try out for football. And I said, well, sure. So I went out and tried out for football, and so what they did, they had several of us uh, stand like on the 20-yard line at one end of the field, and they wanted us to throw the football, and so one by one, everybody threw a football, and a lot of them didn't even get to the person they were supposed to be throwing it at. And so they gave me the ball and they said, throw it. And so I reared back and I threw that football, and it went right over the fellow that I was supposed to be throwing at. And so then they turned around and they said, told him to go back 10 yards and said, now throw it. And I threw it and I went over his head, and they said, for crying out loud, said, now, I said, what we want you to do, now listen to us closely, we want you to throw it like it was a bullet. Look at the person you're supposed to be throwing it to and see if you can hit them. And I said, okay. So I threw the ball, and the boy caught the ball, and he staggered back a little bit. And they said, now that's what we want right there. And so they started having me throw it in every way that I could, and to everybody that I could, and I was hitting everybody that I threw it at, and they said, you might make a good quarterback. Well, I didn't even know what a quarterback was. And I said, well, okay, whatever. I said, they said, well, so we want you to come out and for practices. Can you do that? And I said, sure. I don't know why I can't do that. Well, I went home and I told my mother and dad, I said, guess what? They said, what? I said, football coach is trying me out for the football team. And I said, they want me to come out tomorrow evening and they want me to practice. And so they didn't say nothing. They said, okay. And so I went out the next evening and I practiced and went out again and again and again. And finally they come to me and said, we want you to start out as quarterback for our first game. And I said, okie dokie. I was fine with that. And so I went home and I told them, I said, I made the team. Told my mother and dad, I said, I made the team. And my dad said, well, that's great. And I said, our first game is next Friday night. And I said, I want y'all to come. And my dad said, well, son, next Friday night's the youth meeting. Now, a youth meeting was what our church participated in once a month with all 15 or 20 other churches in the area, as far as other towns, churches of like faith. And so we would go to whatever town the church was hosting the youth meeting, and we'd have a youth meeting and put on skits, and then they'd have somebody preach, and then afterwards we'd have lots to eat and all that stuff, and then we'd go home. Well, so on Friday night, my dad said, "Are you ready to go?" And I said, "No." I said, "Not yet." I said, "I'll be ready in a little bit." I said, "But I called my coach and told him that about the youth meeting, and they said that'd be all right. We'll come get you." I said, "So he'll be here in a little bit." And I said, so I'll stay with him, and then y'all can pick me up from his place when y'all get back from the youth meeting. My dad said, "What are you talking about?" I said, I'm the football coach." And I said, or quarterback. And I said, "And I got to go play." And he said, "Well, son, you can't play on youth meeting night. You have to go to the youth meeting." I said, "Well, I can't tonight because I'm the starting quarterback." Well, he said, "Son, you can play football all you want, but when it comes to youth meetings or a church meeting, you cannot play on the church, any kind of a church meeting night." And I said, "Well, let me go call my coach." He said, "We don't have time for you to make no calls, no nothing." He said, "You need to get in that car and go." Well, to say the least, I was just a little bit ticked, but you don't say nothing to my dad. No way, no how. So I went with my dad, and I told him, I said, "Boy, I'm going to be in trouble." He said, "You'd be in more trouble if you tried to stay home." So anyway, I went to school on Monday morning, and I was in my homeroom, and I was sitting there, and all of a sudden I heard a rumbling coming down the hall. I didn't think nothing about it. And all of a sudden they came in my homeroom, and the team kind of surrounded me and the coach said, "You're off the team. We don't even want you in the stadium when we play. You didn't even show up. You didn't call. You didn't nothing. You just didn't even show up." And I started to say something, and he said, "Look, you might be bench pressing hundreds of pounds, and you might be able to whip some of us, but said, we don't want you on our team no more." And all the boys said, "Yeah, we don't want you." So that was the end of my football career. It was short. And so I said, "Okay." I said, I won't bother you anymore." And so I went home and I told my dad, I said, "Well, I guess you know I'm not on the football team." Well, he said, "You didn't need to be on no football team anyway. You're supposed to be concerned about the church and about being part of the church family and participating in the church things. And that comes first before anything else in the world." And so I went off into my room. And when supper was ready, I didn't come out. And so my dad's come, knocked on the door. He said, "Supper's ready. Come on out here and eat." Well, I did. I just went out there and I just ate. And when I got done, I went right back in my room. And so later on, I went to my dad and I said, "I need to talk to you about something." He said, "What?" I said, "Nobody in school thinks I'm normal. And I don't know what that means, not being normal." I said, I just have a hard time keeping track of all my thoughts. I have a hard time not being able to join in. And my mind sometimes is like my brain, a buzzer going off, and then I'm thinking other things automatically, and then I can't remember what I was thinking about before. And I said, sometimes I have to try to retract what I was thinking, and I said, then I go off on some other thing. I said, it's hard for me to pay attention to anything. My mind keeps going other places. People most of the time can't see what's going on with me. They just instead just say how wrong I am about this and about that. I said, people a lot of times see me as too expressive. Then the next thing you know, they're annoyed at me for talking too much. I said, I don't understand why I don't want to enter in. I said, I don't understand none of it. And he looked at me and he said, well, son, we tried to keep this from you because we didn't want you to know this. You have Asbergers. And my thought was, I don't have any kind of a burger. And he said, that's the higher end of autism. Well, I didn't know what autism was. I'd never heard that word before. And I said, well, I don't understand. He said, what are the two things that you're more passionate about than anything else? I said, my music and theology. He said, and you really don't think about much else, do you? And I said, well, no, not really. Well, he said, that's because you have Asperger's. He said, the reason you took off on the piano so well, going far above what your teachers taught, is because you have Asperger's. I said, well, what can I do about it? I said, is it curable or what? He said, no, that's just the way you're made. I said, well, why am I made like that? He said, well, son, I can't tell you that. We don't know. Nobody knows. And I said, well, what do I do now? And he said, well, you just keep going the best you can. And he said, and maybe we need to find somebody that can teach you how to live with this and live with it successfully. And I said, well, okay. And so that was the end of that conversation. I always wondered why I never had birthdays, parties. I never had a birthday gift. I never had a Christmas gift because we didn't believe in Christmas. They didn't. And I didn't understand that. And so my life has been lived without that. I'm not used to receiving gifts, and I don't receive gifts. I've never received gifts of any kind. And I've never allowed, once I grew up, I never allowed people to give me gifts. Somebody said, what do you want for your birthday? I said, nothing. You don't want anything? I said, I didn't say that. I said, I didn't want nothing for my birthday. Well, what do you want for Christmas? I said, I don't want nothing. So, I've lived my life like that all my life. And now, just recently, a kind person on the YTPC sent me a gift. And that was Leo. And he sent me a sample of tobacco and sent me a whole package of Captain Black, and I've been enjoying the far out of that. And I'll continue until it's all gone. I never understood why I could just get up and preach and not have a problem in the world of preaching. But I had a problem with dealing with people afterwards. I wasn't comfortable in surroundings. I wasn't comfortable in crowds. None of that. But I'm 74 years old now. And by now I've learned to live with it for a long, long, long time. But I just thought I'd share that with you. And I know that when people hear this, you'll probably turn away because of my Asbergers. I hope not, because I want to give you more of my life story. And share that with you. And I have to watch myself, because the tendency of one with Asperger's is they can't shut up. So my videos get to be longer and longer. But I try to keep it as short as I can so you don't get disinterested. But I wanted to just say that up front, and I hope that you understand. And next time I'll tell you about the miracle of the ship. And until I see you again, I pray that the good Lord bless you. I pray the good Lord will watch over you and supply your every need and take care of every circumstance. And I pray y'all have a wonderful, wonderful day. And remember, God loves you. And I love you. So till next time, I'll see you.